Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here to start this week's Fan Fridays. Now, before we get into this battle with Nico, I want to point out something really interesting from the last Fan Fridays for the week, and it's that both Shiny Tapu Koko were hacked from the opponent. That I wasn't even paying attention to Tapu Koko's balls, because I didn't think that any hackers would be dumb enough to put in a non-Cherish Ball Shiny Tapu Koko, but they did it. So we have a Pokeball and Premier Ball, and one thing that actually blows my mind is that people in the comment section saying, how do you know the opponent is hacking off a full shiny team? Well, that's because it's just incredibly more likely that we have 1 in 4,000 odds for just one shiny Pokemon, and even then, that shiny Pokemon is likely to not be competitive. After that, we're surrounded in a community filled with hackers. So what we're looking at right now is a nearly impossible team to be done legitimately when pretty much everyone's hacking. All you have to do is go on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and people are non-stop giving away hacked Pokemon, so then when we actually see it applied in battle, it's not common. I've actually seen people in the comment section say that the odds of having a full shiny team are like 5%. That 1 in 20 battlers are anticipated to have a legitimate full shiny team. That is how stupid this community has become when it comes to cheating in Pokemon. Like, I would say that not even 1% of battlers would have a competitive shiny that they use regularly. That's what we're looking at. And then when you go to the battle spot, you know, you're trying to play at your best. So it really just blows my mind overall that people defend it, even though it's pretty much impossible odds. And when we look at it, non-shiny teams are more likely to be hacked than not in this current state of Pokemon, because it is just that saturated with hacking. Anyways, on to the battle. That's why I started. I feel like we have transitioned this really well. So Mungus is going to Rage Powder. That is going to skill swap target the Amoonguss. You know what? The strategy is pretty obvious. The opponent going to Amoonguss, Rage Powder, and then get that Belly Drum on the Azumarill. But now Azumarill, it gets to do that for free. Now, if you remove the huge power, Belly Drum isn't going to be nearly as strong, and then you can also do some other things to it as well. But that is a lot of stuff that just happened right there. So we have the Skill Swap Intimidate. Procking competitive on the Milotic into the Adrenaline Orb. We almost never see Adrenaline Orb. However, that Scald targeting the Azumarill not going to work because Mungus takes the hit. And now that is going to be the Citrus Berry on the Azumarill as well. And it's just a bad day. So yeah, the opponent was able to do exactly what they wanted. But we do have a little bit of power coming off of this Milotic. And Stantler will not be able to survive the Aqua Jet. However, let's see how much power, how much damage is behind this Milotic when it targets the Azumarill. Not a lot, and no burn. And then Amoonguss lands a Spore. I don't see how you can come back from something like this. Like, yeah, the Amoonguss Azumarill combo is just filthy, even when we have all this other cool stuff going on. Ooh, Rage Powder's not going to work against the Grass-type Pokemon, because now they're immune to Powder moves in the since the 6th generation. So what is that going to mean for the Azumarill? Azumarill's going to protect. Azumarill is not wasting time right there. So now what happens is the question. Milotic gets a free turn of just kind of being asleep right now. I don't see the Amoonguss trying to really threaten too hard. So Hornleech will be protected. Amoonguss with that Energy Ball. Alright, so Energy Ball will target. Never mind, the opponent trying to go for those massive reads right there. And that is going to be a super effective hit. But Milotic gaining just a little bit of health off of the grassy terrain. Azumarill also getting healed as well. Everyone's just getting nice little healing. So, yep, a little bit of health, and now we have to wait through all these in-between turn stuff going on. So Mungus throws down the Rage Powder. If it's Scarf, how's it going to go? Like, okay, Azumarill comes in with the Aqua Jet, targets Tapu Bulu, but it doesn't get to do anything off of that. So Milotic is fast asleep, stays asleep for another turn, and Tapu Bulu comes in with that Hornleech. So yeah, like, that's kind of the thing about Belly Drum Azumarill, that if you just have a Pokemon that can resist it, that's also fairly tanky, then Azumarill still doesn't get to do anything about that. So at least being able to be tanked out by the Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu heals up a lot of health now, and Milotic should be waking up next turn. So it seems like this can turn around pretty good. And then everyone just kind of gains some hit points. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm really liking the Adrenaline Orb. I've seen a lot of things, like, I've seen so many posts saying, yo, Adrenaline Orb, competitive Pokemon, super OP, especially the Milotic, because it's like tanky, and then it just doubles its damage for free. So that turns into something really nice, but I haven't really seen it applied. And either way, you know, there's a lot of Intimidate just naturally being run around VGC and just in doubles. So Milotic comes in with that Blizzard as well, +2, massive Blizzard. That's going to take down Amoonguss and the Salamence. Even the split damage, Amoonguss could not survive from that +2. Non-stab as well, so yeah. Even as a bulky Pokemon wasn't able to do anything. Tapu Bulu had the Smart Strike. Just because. I didn't even know Tapu Bulu got Smart Strike. Good for him. So yeah, as we can see, like, when you get, like, even though the opponent ran with a gimmick, working around the gimmick, and now we can just see how fast the game ends up just playing out. That's going to be, oh, Blizzard on top of Bulu, and then a forfeit before we even get to see that happen. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We finally get to see the Adrenaline Orb applied, and it was with like a guaranteed setup too. Stantler just comes in, gets the skill swap, well now, you're done. Just like that. Let's go into some more battles. I'm actually really interested to see how Nico's team beats the opponent's team in this situation, because I just see like more gimmicks and shenanigans. Okay, Whimsicott goes for the Tailwind, Mega Blastoise evolves, might protect on that first turn, and then try to like go into some huge Water Spout shenanigans. And then we see if the Intimidate, or yeah, if we see if, like, the Intimidate skill swap shenanigans actually pay off. Intimidate is also really nice on the Stantler too, because if they lead with physical attackers, you're hurting them, and then in the same turn, you're just going to buff yourself, which just makes it a lot better for the Milotic. So I wonder if Stantler is able to do anything else outside of that. And then also, if Prankster gets stolen from the Whimsicott, that could be really good as well. So we're going to see how this battle ends up playing out. Stantler, it doesn't have the best stats, but I feel like it could just do maybe enough to make this fairly reliable. So Milotic is actually going to protect this turn, just in case there's extra shenanigans. And Blastoise is going to protect. So that's what I was thinking. Protect Blastoise, Tailwind on the Whimsicott, and then Whimsicott, you know, you can just, skill swap it away. So yeah, this is why I thought, like, it's going to be a weird gimmick, though, because the Adrenaline Orb boost isn't really going to matter for those first couple of turns because of the Tailwind, but +1 on Milotic is still going to be fairly powerful. Now we just see all these other things bounce around. So yeah, Whimsicott comes in with the Intimidate, and that is going to be Milotic's competitive into the Adrenaline Orb. So like, it's a nice little bit of tech. Unfortunately, I feel that the Adrenaline Orb, it needs to remove the attack boost, because really, Adrenaline Orb only works on competitive special attacking Pokemon, which is mostly Milotic and sometimes Wigglytuff. But now giving Prankster to the Blastoise and stealing Mega Launcher, I don't know if that's going to work out too well. And then Encore onto the Milotic. This is, like, very not good. So actually Blastoise coming in with the Aura Sphere. So removing Mega Launcher actually worked out. I would expect if you go with that Tailwind, wow, that actually causes Stantler to survive. So I guess max hit points, max speed on the Stantler. And then it just kind of works out. So yeah, Water Spout doesn't work when you're going up against Milotic. So I guess that's something right there. And then we go into the Ferrothorn. So now Milotic is stuck on the Encore, but Encoring with the Protect is not the worst thing that could happen. Then Whimsicott Giga Drain. Why would you Giga? You know what you just Encored. That's kind of silly. But then the Water Spout going to be protected right there into the Ferrothorn. So Ferrothorn should be able to tank that up really well. Prankster or Mega Launcher doesn't really affect that too much. Now we're going to see how the opponent responds, because yeah, like with that Encore on the Whimsicott, that does get pretty nasty pretty quick. Milotic is going to keep spamming that Protect. Actually gets the back-to-back Protect right there. So that's just going to be a little bit of extra help. Ferrothorn protecting as well, so just kind of removing that Tailwind. Actually, never mind, because Whimsicott doesn't have Prankster anymore. So Milotic outspeeds it once that Tailwind wears off. So I guess then the Encore doesn't apply anymore, and then we can see what Milotic can do. Blizzard, that's going to wreck. That's going to wreck right there. Okay, so what an awkward turn of events that just kind of made this play out. So he does switch out, goes into the Cresselia. Cresselia's taking the neutral hit, and then we're going to see what the Ferrothorn does. Withdraws Blastoise as well because the Tailwind was successfully stalled out. Ooh. I'm really hoping it's a Blizzard from the Milotic, because... Oh, no! No, that's the last thing you want to do! Competitive is active for always! Oh, that's actually double dirty now that you think about it, because the skill swap guarantees that speed boost from you. But if they're also running an Intimidate Pokemon, it's just going to make you much, much stronger. So yeah, it's actually good. Like even though, okay, you're running this just in case, not everyone's running Intimidate, even though pretty much everyone's running Intimidate anyways, you can still turn it into shenanigans. That's kind of silly. So you can Scald the Celesteela to insta-win. Whimsicott it can't do anything. Like, okay, what do? You Encore the Blizzard, which is still effective against the team. Ferrothorn's actually going to switch out, doesn't have the Power Whip to scare off the Blastoise. Going back into the Stantler. Maybe just eat the Aura Sphere or something. Stantler's Intimidate. Doesn't really matter too much in this situation. But Stantler refreshes its Intimidate, so it can skill swap again if it wants to. Blastoise gets lucky, avoids a Blizzard, but it's alright damage. Like, it's not the most game-breaking. If it missed on the Celesteela, that would have been huge. But Blastoise comes in with that Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is going to target the Stantler. So, yeah, Ferrothorn getting switched out. Don't want that thing to die to the Focus Blast or take more damage than it needs to. And now Ambipom comes in. Ambipom, that's going to be a free fake out onto the Whimsicott. Whimsicott not going to be able to set up the Tailwind again. Blizzard's going to blow up the Whimsicott, and then Ambipom has the speed over the Blastoise after that. And hey, I just predicted the rest of this battle. Not bad. So yeah, you can get into some fun stuff with this battle, can't you? Or with this team. That's actually pretty nice. And I like that for the Ambipom, that it's there, it's just like the pseudo support. If it has an opportunity where it can come in and help, it's just going to put your opponent back even harder, and then Milotic is the MVP no matter what. So yeah, good sacrifice on the Ambipom. Ferrothorn comes in now. And Whimsicott uses the Fake Tears. So that's going to be for the special Finch drop on the Milotic. Interesting. Competitive. It keeps proccing competitive. Competitive doesn't work off of just Intimidate. It's any stat lowering from the opponent. Silly. So yeah, Whimsicott's going to faint right there. Blastoise going to take a solid little hit. Looks like that Fake Tears though was meant to like make this Aura Sphere really wreck. However, still targets a Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn survives because it can easily survive super effective hits. As just the filth known as Ferrothorn. Ingrain going to give it healing on top of everything else. So yeah, fun stuff. Leftovers. Ingrain coming in as well. It can protect, so it's going to be gaining a quarter of its health every time it's getting hit. Blastoise can't do anything about that. Milotic is going to come in, and is going to be the GG right there from the opponent forfeit. Alright, let's do one more battle from this, because yeah, Nico's got a pretty awesome team to just watch. Let's rock. I don't know what else to say. We just get into it and we see how it ends up playing out. Arcanine with the Intimidate. Is this going to just be like a super fast battle? Because that Milotic, it had to deal with like a little bit of Encore, a little bit of just oddities from the opponent, I guess. But then once it hit like +4, +6, Milotic just came through and slammed everything into the ground. So let's go and watch how this one plays out like that. So Arcanine, Ninetales. Let's go do a thing. Stantler's going to Intimidate, which is going to reduce a little bit of Arcanine's threat. Ninetales doesn't really care about that, but then we're going to see Ninetales setting up that Snow Warning. Also, if you skill swap the Intimidate to Intimidate the Intimidate, I would do that. I honestly feel that you're going to get much more out of skill swapping the Arcanine, because now Stantler holds on to that Intimidate. So the next turn, Stantler can also go for the skill swap onto whatever the opponent does, and then it's just going to be GG like that. So Milotic just outspeeds now, has a Scald, and that's going to be Arcanine getting just completely wrecked. So yeah, there we go. That's your use case for like double battles right there, that a lot of people are running Arcanine. A lot of people just run Intimidate in doubles because that was the problem with Landorus. That's pretty much like, all you have to do is look at every metagame, every Pokemon Worlds, or anything in doubles, where it's like, it eventually just boils down to bringing Arcanine and some other Intimidate Pokemon, and then Physical isn't allowed to be used, and then Landorus also finds a way in as well. So there we go, guys. That's just like all of that fun stuff. I lost count of how many stats the Milotic has gotten now, because it got enough to outsped the Ninetales. Ninetales doesn't get a chance to do anything, and then Arcanine dies before it has a chance of even being slightly useful. And now we have a +1 Milotic, which has a really solid amount of speed, so now it just gets outspeed and one-shot everything. Except for Celesteela, unfortunately. Well, actually, Scald. I was about to say, even with that Blizzard, but yeah, you can just do the single target damage on the Scald, and that will be enough to take down Celesteela. I don't know if the crit mattered, because like Blizzard has that split damage and Scald has the stab. So you're actually getting more damage off of Scald than you are with just Blizzard. And now Stantler grabs Intimidate back to use on a future Pokemon as well. So that's just a little filthy right there. And then Stantler comes in with the Intimidate. Ninetales doesn't care. But Ninetales can't really do anything. Like, it hits a mediocre damage Blizzard. Split damage from the Ninetales with its very low special attack. Even Stantler doesn't even get 2-shot by it. That's kind of sad. So Milotic's going to be taking hail damage. Also, like the Celesteela, it might have just gone down to the hail afterwards. So now Kartana is going to be on the field. Kartana can't take... Wow. Well, that battle's over. The opponent... There we go, guys. That's the example of the snowball right there. So it works if the opponent doesn't have Intimidate. And if they do have Intimidate, they like extra die forever. And it's on the backbone of either just tanky Pokemon like the Ferrothorn, or Pokemon that can really be game savers like the Tapu Bulu. And I think like you just look at the team. You go to that team select, you see what the opponent's going to bring, you leave the same, and then you just have 2 supporting Pokemon, and then it works out in the end. So guys, enjoy the battle, and I'll see you in the next Fan Fridays.